So these last few days have been kind of rough for me. Um, and I usually don't get in this type of mood at all. I'm usually pretty upbeat. I'm usually pretty productive. At least I try to be. But these last few days have been rough because I've been in this rut, kind of feeling bad for myself, wondering if, any of this is worth it, wondering if, and I'm the type of person, I could be working on something all day long. And I'll quote NF right here. If any of you are fans of NF, the hip hop artist, give me a like. But, he says, I could be working for 24 hours and still feel like I never did enough. And that's exactly the trip that I've been on. I've been working really hard behind the scenes on, getting an image that I'm happy with. Really figuring out where I want to go with this. And long term, I would love to turn this into, a talk show, a podcast, interview artists, pick apart their brain, figure out, what makes them tick, how they got to where they are. And, also combine my life stories and share my stories with the world. And it seems really difficult at this time to, do that. I've been in this mindset that no one wants to hear what I have to say. So I have to make content that they do want. And I totally lost the whole meaning why I started Reflekton Records. By the way, if you're new here, my name's Marcus. Thank you for joining. If you're coming back, I also appreciate you. But I started Reflekton Records because I needed to vent. I needed to talk about these things that were trapped inside my head. And that's why I'm here right now. I've had, this crap just tumbling around, keeping me from getting on and doing what I enjoy the most. And that's making these videos, talking about my life, finding ways around the struggles. And I've just been beating myself up left and right. And I couldn't figure out why. What is it that I'm doing wrong? And what am I not happy with? And of course, the big thing is I'm not where I picture myself. I have these expectations of where I should be. And, I've also got a problem with, seeing the picture bigger than it is and, just ultimately having those expectations too high. I set the bar too high for myself, especially where I'm at. And, I get in this rut where it's like, well, if I can't obtain that high expectation, what's the point? And I keep forgetting, and I have to remind myself consistently that, I'm going to eventually get there. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. Nothing is going to be handed to me. No one's going to give me the opportunity. I have to make that opportunity. But there's these days where it's like, will that opportunity come? And if it doesn't, in reality, in all likelihood, it will not happen. I won't get the opportunity that I expect, that I want. But I have to try. If I never try, I'm going to be an old man someday and wonder, why didn't I? What if? And at least if I try this, if I do this, one day I'll look back and say, hey, I did what I could. In that moment, I did what I could. So I'm going to show you something here. Something that kind of helped me get out of this rut and get back on my grind. And I wouldn't suggest it because I'm thinking about, taking a major break from, detoxing from the internet in aspects. One much so is Reddit. Reddit is kind of a toxic place. But it's also like, I feed off that fire type thing. And what I have here is this story I came across. And this is kind of like what broke me down in my last moment last night. And this woman says, and it's like, okay, this is exactly what I've been thinking, you know, but she says, rags to riches stories of people clawing their way to the top from nothing are just the modern day equivalent of fairy tales about peasants discovering they're actually royalty. Wildly improbable fantasies to let commoners imagine the system could one day work for them too. I read that and I was like, damn, she nailed it. Everything that I've been thinking, I've been living in this fantasy, believing that this could somehow one day turn around for me. And I've never had anything. But everything that I do have, I've had to claw for. I've had to want it, and I've had to work for it. And I just have to remember that the things that I have obtained, one day, there was a day that I believed I could never have it. But my mindset to work for it got me it, you know, like, I remember even making some of these videos, like watching, you know, other creators, and it was like, how will I ever learn how to do that? Like, just this software that I use to make videos, it's like, it was so daunting. How will I ever, you know, how long is it going to take to figure all that out? Like, I'm so far behind. But I stepped into it with willingness. And here I am, making videos, you know, just simple stuff, even like figuring out this audio. It was a headache. It actually took me months to get this sound, and I'm still not 100% happy with it, but it's better than where it was. You know, I wanted it. And yeah, I'm not this huge channel, but I believe one day I could be. And then I came across this. This is what really turned it all around for me. And, you know, I want you to go back, and if you're in this rut, read through this. I should leave a link to it down below. But I read the comments on this, and there was actually a lot of uplifting comments of people describing how themselves or people that they know were at the bottom and actually fought and got to a better place. But this other one, this has nothing to do with it whatsoever, but as fate would have it, I stumbled across this. Now, this is a video of a young woman who is in a dorm room, and I don't know if it's a class project. I'm assuming she has a passion for, you know, making commercials, you know, product reviews, or just filmmaking in general. And like I said, I stumbled across this. It has nothing to do with, you know, really what I'm talking about, but it does at the same time. This is someone that is in a dorm room, doesn't have much to work with, although she's got, it looks like the right equipment, but let's watch this here.
My college dorm. So since my dorm is quite small, I didn't have space to set up my backdrop stand, so I turned my desk
Whoops, sorry about that. I gotta turn this down.
into a makeshift set with 2 bed sheets. For this shot, I stuck a lemon slice on a paintbrush, spun it around, and masked it in with a Sprite and Post to make it fly out from behind the can.
So what she's saying is she's in a dorm room attempting to make this commercial of, you know, Sprite. You know, I don't know if she's interning for Sprite or if it's just a project. I believe it is, but she's in a dorm room, and you can imagine with people hooting and hollering outdoors, you know, sure, her roommates, whatever, just all the other distractions, but she put her mind to it, and the outcome is amazing.
Here, I cut the can in half and poured water through it to make it seem like the camera was inside the can. Without further ado, here is the final commercial.
Hit it, boys.
This Yo, and I'm telling you, that right there just blew me away. I could honestly see that as it looked like an actual commercial. And, you know, that just goes to show whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. It doesn't necessarily matter the equipment you have. If she was just using a phone, although the new iPhones have great cameras, but if she was just using, the average phone, probably couldn't get all that. She probably has a nice editing software. But she did it. As the world turns, we're going to need the younger generation to step up and create awesome commercials to keep us entertained. People to create movies, films. The people who are doing it now aren't always going to be around. The top YouTubers right now aren't always going to be doing it. So you, me, us, today, we need to step up and get to where we want to be, to give others what they need to hear. And I think the biggest key for that is to be honest with yourself. Set realistic expectations. Dream big, but in the moment, set realistic expectations. Do what you can, work with what you have, and be the best that you are. And you have to be honest with yourself. If you tell yourself that you're going to do something, you have to do it. Otherwise, you're just another person lying to yourself. And I promised myself that I was going to keep doing this no matter what. No matter how much I hated how I looked. No matter how much I hated how I sound. No matter who told me I couldn't do this. I was going to continue. So here I am, doing what I can today. So with that, folks, like always, stay safe. Do something productive. Today, don't wait. You got to do it. Whatever it is. If you can think it, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. And as always, Godspeed.